What is good, Counter-Strike fans? Welcome back to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today, we're going to talk about IEM Atlanta 2026. This event will be a both group stage and playoffs event, so take that into consideration when making your teams, as you will need to get basically players that go very far into the event in order to get the most amount of points possible. This event is also going concurrently with PGL Atlanta, which will be interesting. I think IEM Atlanta probably has better top teams with Vitality, Navi in here, but I think Astana probably has the better overall package of teams as well. So yeah, gonna be interesting to see who wins this. Vitality, like I mentioned, is probably the heavy favorites, but from what I've seen as well, they don't have a lot of. I'm thinking that they probably haven't had much practice because they've been basically enjoying some time off, and then using this event as kind of like a ramp up into the major as well. So let's take a look back at my previous event, which was current event actually, PG Astana. This is the team, double G2 with some s1mple and Maries. They lost their 1-0 2-0 game against Mouse, or like the 1-0 game against Mouse. But they're doing good individually with some s1mple and Maries performing well. So hopefully they go into playoffs 3-1 and they farm still. Tanier from Spirit decided to switch JL to Tanier just because I felt uncomfortable with all the uncertainty around Mouse. So for Tanier, that was basically going with like Tanier more consistency. Also Holly not being present with Spirit, so maybe they a little bit more Fred from his system, which kind of has caused low ratings for Tanier, Sway even, Magic, Sontic. So hopefully it keeps going. But yeah, JL as well, the uncertainty with the team with Mouse, with Surgeon JL coming in, Select coming in, and then Surgeon being IGL. But Surgeon being IGL has been the best player right now in this event, so that's been interesting to see. Tessis from Falcons, they won one, they lost one. Tessis has been fine. Hopefully he bounces back in the next few games and puts up a good rating. And then Torshi from Mouse, who's been probably Mouse's second best player in this event. He's doing quite well. He popped off against G2 as well. Top 10%, 15 points, so doing fine currently. All right, for IEM Atlanta, this is a simulator that you can find on blast.tv. If you're interested, go ahead and do so. It's very good to see like what teams you believe might make playoffs. So gonna go over this really quickly, and then just an overall trend. So for the up brackets, Group A, I say is probably the weaker group, but has the better top two teams. So Vitality versus BC Game, Bait versus Bet Boom, Pain versus Face, and then NRG versus Food Esports. I have Vitality versus Food meeting up in the upper bracket final. I believe both of them will go to the playoffs quite easily as well. And then for the lower bracket as well, I have Face winning that and making it to the playoffs. Teams that I believe will make playoffs, Vitality and Food, are the only two teams I believe will make playoffs from this group. After that, it gets a little bit more iffy. So Face is the next best team, I would say, because of their performance after Kerrigan left. I'm still a little bit unsure how it's going to work out long term, but I think for right now, Night 2 has been good, and he's been better fragging wise than Kerrigan, so that's kind of giving them some hope there. I like what Bedboom's been doing so far recently. Bait is also very strong, very solid team as well. And I think after that, BC Games, and they have a stand-in coach. Well, it's not really technically a coach, but was a coach that's gonna come back to be a player. I don't know what's going on there, but they also have Sensu, which kind of gives them more firepower. But I don't know. I just don't think that will mesh well. NRG, because we're in America and in the United States, so maybe NRG puts up some good ratings. But this is Group A. Group B, Navi versus Passion UA. Sinners versus Gamer Legion, Legacy versus M80, and then Team Lego versus Astralis. I think this is overall the stronger team, but it has, again, not the top teams. This, especially this lower side of the bracket for Group B, is a little bit of a you have to be wary about, because I think all 4 teams could beat one another on any given day, and I honestly could beat any of these making it to the upper bracket finals, and I believe one of these 4 teams will also win the lower bracket finals. So be careful with this side of the bracket as well. So I do have Navi and Astralis going through. Navi has the easiest run, I think. I think they're the lock-ins to be into the playoffs for this group. And the lower side of the bracket, you know, I have M80 winning that, but it could be any of these teams, honestly. So I think Navi's the lock-in for the playoffs, in my opinion. Astralis would then be the next tier. They're very good, but again, they have a very strong side, strong side of the bracket, but they could go out at any point. But even if they don't win the upper bracket finals, or they don't make it to the upper bracket finals, I believe they have enough to win the lower bracket finals as well. After that, these are the teams that are maybe options. I like M80. I like Gamer Legion as well, because their bracket is also not the strongest. Legacy, you can never count out, even Liquid as well. I would for sure don't pick into Passion You Wear Sinners from Group B, but the rest are options. But yeah, I'm gonna have Navi, Astralis, M80 making it, because we need to have one of these United States, American, North America team making it to the playoffs. So this is how the playoffs will look like if my bracket is correct. Astralis versus FaZe, have Astralis versus Vitality. Vitality wins that. Food versus M80. Food wins it. Now versus Food. Gonna go with Food because they're interesting and they look good, and Longs can be backs. And then we'll have Vitality versus Food final. I wanted to go with the Food win just because Vitality might be off. But it's a grand final, 5 maps. You know Vitality is gonna win this somehow. They're gonna win this with no practice. They're gonna maybe be down 12-0 in the first map, and then they're gonna bounce back, win, and overtime in the first map, and then they might give up one map along the way, but Vitality will end up winning like they always done for the past year and a half, basically. Third place fine playoff, Astralis versus Navi. So I do think Vitality, Astralis, Navi, and Food are the best teams here. And so if we take just being the best team, these teams should have the most amount of games possible to make it to the playoffs. So maybe base your teams around these 4. But you'll see how that's kind of difficult with the pricing. So let's take a look at the most picked players. Currently, 14,000 people have joined the fantasy event, with the most picked player currently being Apex, with about a little bit over 30% of pick rate. So not a lot of Vitality, as you can see, and you'll see why because of the pricing. So Apex from there, and Robs as well from Vitality. Then Alexi from Navi, Hooksy from Astralis, Jacob and Brokey from FaZe, s1mple from BC Game, and then Demon from Food. So in an event where, you know, Vitality are probably the favorite, you see that there's not a lot of Vitality options, not even Navi as well. So you'll see the pricing. It is very bad for some of these top teams. It's very restricting. So we'll start with Vitality. And it's finally happened. 4 gold players, and Apex being silver is insane. Cyber being 250 is insane. I mean, they are favorites, but again, take into account that Vitality have not been practicing probably. They've been traveling across the United States, and they're probably going to take this event a little bit more relaxed as they build up and ramp up to the major. Value wise, is there any value? Possibly. I mean, Saibu's still very strong at 250, even if he is probably the highest price I've ever seen a player be priced at. He's basically taking a quarter of your budget, but he's still very strong. And if he makes it far, you know, he's gonna probably win MVP if they win the whole thing. Robs and Flamesy are not bad at 225 and 230, but After that, I would not pick Apex and I would not pick Messi. I think this could be the bet where you kinda just don't pick any Vitality players, or if you do, you just pick one. And if you pick one, you have to go with Rob Cyber or Flamesy. Yeah, I just think they're too expensive, and you know what? They might not be worth it at that price. If you do pick two of them, you're gonna have to basically pay the price for them because you're gonna have to pick a bunch of like lower teams, low probability of making the playoffs. So Vitality, good luck picking many of them, but yeah, just one or none if you want to. For Navi, all here's a little bit more affordable as well, but still a little bit kind of expensive. Makasi is a great option at 225. He's probably the second best player in this whole event behind Saiwu, like rating wise. And he can definitely carry Navi as well. He's just been in form to start the year. 1.21 over the last 3 months. Very strong. After that, I would pick Wonderful. He's been a lot better recently. A little bit more affordable than Bit, for example, and putting up better ratings than IME. So Wonderful will be your next best option. If you pick Bit, I would rather go downgrade to Wonderful or Makase. IME as well, upgrading to like Wonderful, for example. And LXCV is fine. 195 is a little bit expensive for an IGL that's not going to put up anything higher than 0.92, 0.93. Astralis, more affordable. Stairs, probably your best option. Most consistent player. Probably the carry of the team. 217 is a solid price for him. I don't mind that. Then you probably go with their Opper at 212. Then ignore Ryu, 100% ignore him. He's just not been good at all. And 209 is way too expensive for his output. Jabi's fine as a differential. And if you believe in his recent uptick in form. Hooksy at 180 could be almost a must-have just because, you know, he's so cheap. But yeah, 180 is solid for him. I think that's a good IGL price. For Foot, we have all five are options. Demon right now is probably the best value for money just because he has a high headshot machine trigger rate at 202. And after that, you can pick Longs, who's been the most consistent. In each individual bet, he might not be the best one, but you know he's gonna put up good ratings. Sooks is also interesting as well. He's had a great last event with those Longs. Kraveni and Symmetry are fine as well. Kraveni has been dropping off a little bit. And Symmetry has looked a lot better too. But yeah, all five are options from Food. For FaZe Clan, they looked better. Frozen's basically carrying them. 216 is solid for him, but you don't want to pick a gold FaZe player because you don't even know if they're going to make playoffs, if we're being realistic. But Frozen's there if you want to. I think the best value for money is definitely Brokey at 190. Yes, he has an under 1 rating over the last 3 months. But if you watch the games, he looks a little bit better, a little bit more confident, doing Brokey things, you know, like FaZe. You know what's FaZe, FaZe Clan, they're bullshit, we know what they do. And Brokey's gonna be interesting at 190. Twist and Night 2 are too expensive for my liking. And Jacob, I don't mind at 185, but you gotta understand that he has been very poor. He has put up a 0.91 rating over the last 3 months at 185. That's IGL level so bad. Could he bounce back? Yes. But I'm not going to take a chance on him personally. But you can if you want to. And it's not a bad price either. It's super cheap too. It's basically a bronze player at that point. For Gamer Legion, is Res, is PR. Res is the best value just because it's the most consistent. But at 215, gold player, skip on him. I think PR is your best next option. Tosin and Hypex, while I do like them as prospects, I just think they're too expensive for their current output. And then Snacks is Snacks. Yeah, he's going to put up a 0.9 rating. Good luck. Bait. Again, a little bit too expensive because I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I don't personally believe they make the playoffs just because they still have a young Opera and CSE who's still kind of inconsistent. But like Alex is fine option. I would ignore any of the 200,000. 6C is also fine as well. Legacy, their side of the bracket is very strong. Would be a little bit more interested if I didn't pick Astralis players, but Lado's interesting at 201. Nissim and Satsin are also pretty strong too. Ignore Dumao, too expensive for my liking. And then Art is fine. M80, this is one of my teams I believe in. And they have great value as well. Slacks, he's the cheapest out of the 190 players. I think he's the best. He's been the best, to be honest. So the best value right now is to get Slacks. And then you pair him up with someone like Swisher and Lake are solid as well. But you can also go Jaba or even Sin if you can't afford it either. But yeah, all 5 are options. I think if you want to build an M80 squad and you can only go with one, it's Slacks for sure. Bedboom, another team that kind of believe in. They ever since they replaced, I forget who they replaced, but I know they brought in Flamas as like a stand-in for this event, but then he's also my stand-in for the majors. Kind of confusing what they're doing there. They looked a lot better. I like Boomich as an IGL, and you never know with these type of players. They can come in, shoot hard, and then make the playoffs somehow. But Magnagis is probably the best option just because he's been their carry. But 207 is too expensive for my liking. I would look into maybe Siren or Flamas for a little bit cheaper, or Boomich even as well. Boomich is still pretty solid as well at 178. Liquid, yeah, this is a team that's probably gonna, after the major, probably gonna move some players. I mean, Shuki and Ultimate just haven't been it. I think they'll keep their NA core and Nav, Elish, and Malbs, and then probably get a better IGL, maybe get a better Opera as well. For sure, and a better Opera, for sure. So yeah, Liquid is fine. Yeah, pick any of the 190 guys if you believe in Liquid, but honestly, I wouldn't. NRG, again, maybe a North America boost. Grim, Bro are the most interesting here. OC is fine. Nitro is interesting just because it's so cheap. Sonic, ignore for now. Sinners, don't go any of them. I don't think they'll do much here. Pain, NQC is out. Safety is in. That's basically their best player gone. Yeah, so much hope for Pain, but now they're kind of just middling. Pick any of the bronze players, honestly, for Pain if you want to go there. Passion UA, just not enough firepower here. JT is probably gone. And yeah, the firepower is not there. No Sensu anymore. But Sensu now in BC Game. And BC Game, they have this guy, Skrunk, who was a coach. Well, he was a player, then turned to coach for a couple of years, and now he's going back into a player, so I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, you're basically hoping that s1mple, Electronics, and Sensu like frag their way through this event, and they won't. They won't. I'm sorry. So yeah, don't pick into them. Yeah, this is my team. I'll show you my team real quickly. Gonna go with Double Food. I think they're a good base to build around. I think they'll do very strong here. So I went with Demon and Longs. Demon for the upside, and then Longs a little bit for more consistency from Food. Double up on Astralis with Stair and Hooksy. Hooksy because he's cheap, and then Stair because he's the kind of the carry. He's the most consistent player so far. And then closing it off with Brokey, hoping that FaZe make a run, get to the playoffs, and then FaZe are very popular in North America, so hopefully they do good there. No Vitality, as you can see, no Navi. That could hurt me, but I'm just hoping that all 3 teams make it to the playoffs and hope they become good value just by doing so. I think the Food players I'm very strong on. Astralis a little bit less on because they're their side of the bracket, like I mentioned many times before in this video. And Brokey because he's Brokey in his FaZe clan and they're kind of whatever. But I'm just going to go with this 99% locked in with this team. I just don't think there's value in Vitality. Navi there's value, but I just can't afford it. And I think it's better just to I could do, for example, real quickly, I can do Stair to Wonderful. But it doesn't make sense. I'd rather go pair up on Astralis than go like a one-off with Wonderful. I mean, I could do it. It's still in the drafts maybe for me doing it as a one-off late change, but it's probably more likely I will stick with Stair and hope that Strawless do make it to the playoffs. But yeah, this is my team. Let me know your teams in the comments down below. And yeah, good luck, have fun, and see you for the next event.